Hello everyone, welcome my YouTube channel. Russian kamikaze drone hit Ukrainian S-300 air defense system. Moscow. Russian loitering munition, kamikaze drone, has destroyed a Ukrainian S-300 air defense missile system. Video footage from the camera of the kamikaze drone and from the camera of a surveillance, reconnaissance, drone recorded the impact. The video footage shows that there is no secondary detonation of the containers, launchers, that store and launch the missiles. One possible reason is that they were empty. A still shot of the moment before impact shows the system's 4 pipes not looking the way they should. Some suggest the system may have been a decoy. At this time, BulgarianMilitary.com cannot confirm when and where the Russian kamikaze drone struck the S-300. The editors cannot confirm whether the S-300 was a decoy or whether the launchers were loaded with missiles. About the S-300 in brief. The S-300 is a Soviet-designed anti-aircraft missile system developed in the late 1970s. It is one of the most widespread Soviet air defense systems at the moment, with at least 17 operators. The S-300 has land and naval version. One of the land-based versions, the S-300PS, S-300PM, is the only one of the series to launch missiles with a nuclear warhead. The S-300 is made up of a chassis carrying 4 single missile launchers. There is a second chassis with a PESA, passive electronically scanned array, radar attached to the battery. The S-300 has an integrated fire control system. Except for one, all other land versions of the S-300 are integrated into wheeled chassis. The S-300V is the one that is integrated on a tracked chassis. Depending on the missile used, and with few exceptions, the standard S-300 missile system has a range of 100 to 300 kilometers. 217 kilometers striking. One version, the S-300 volts 4, has made headlines in the Russian media over the past 48 hours. They claim that it was this missile that shot down 2 Ukrainian aircraft, Su-24 and S-27, responsible for several bombings of Russian military targets in the Belgorod region. 217 kilometers was the range at which the 2 missiles hit the 2 fighter jets. This is a record for the Russian Federation, the media wrote, recalling that the last time the S-300 hit a target at a distance of 150 kilometers. 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. On the 21st of February 2022, the Russian government claimed that Ukrainian shelling had destroyed an FSB border facility on the Russia-Ukraine border. Moscow also claimed that it had killed 5 Ukrainian soldiers who tried to cross into Russian territory. Ukraine denied being involved in both incidents and called them a false flag. On the same day, the Russian government formally recognized the self-proclaimed DPR and LPR as independent states. According to Putin, not only in their de facto controlled areas, but the Ukrainian oblasts as a whole. Putin ordered Russian troops, including tanks, to enter the regions. On the 24th of February 2022, Putin ordered an invasion of Ukraine by Russian armed forces previously concentrated along the border. The invasion followed by targeted airstrikes of military buildings in the country. The invasion followed also by targeted tanks entering via Belarus border. Russia has so far not recognized the invasion of Ukraine as a war, although that is exactly what it is, claiming that it is a special military operation. According to the UN, in which Russia has its permanent representation, for military action to be defined as a special military operation, it must have a resolution issued by the UN. There is no such resolution, which automatically defines the military actions of the Russians as an invasion and war against the citizens of Ukraine. And lessons for Australia from Putin's missile attacks on Ukraine. Monday morning, Kyiv time, the Russian military launched dozens of Iranian suicide drones at Kyiv. Some were shot down, others crashed into civilian buildings, causing death and destruction. But like the larger and more devastating missile attacks of last week, these attacks appear to have had little impact on Ukrainian morale or resolve. Like previous generations who hoped that grubby wars on the ground could be avoided by investing in bombers and missiles, the Russian government has succumbed to the theory that populations can be shattered by aerial attack. The lesson from history is that they can't. But that doesn't mean that these attacks are without impact. First, they reinforce Putin's support base at home, especially the hardliners. For some time now, military bloggers and state TV guests have been complaining that Russia has been fighting with one arm tied behind its back in Ukraine. It was this audience who cheered loudest when the Russian missiles rained down on Ukrainian cities last week. And it is this group that Putin is trying to appease with missile strikes that have no military utility. A second more damaging impact of the missiles is confidence among those who wish to invest in Ukraine. As hardy as the Ukrainian defense has been, their nation still requires masses of foreign capital to rebuild homes, businesses, and infrastructure. While Russian missiles rain down on major cities, foreign companies and lenders will be more reticent to invest in Ukraine. Putin knows this. The Russian leader believes that if he can throttle Ukraine's economy, he may win this war. Until Ukraine can prove to Putin that he cannot defeat their nation this way, they need to defend against such attacks. Many nations, including the United States and states in Europe, have stepped up to assist. There have been some successes, with many missiles shot down. The Russian Air Force has also been neutered by the Ukrainian ground-based air defenses. But too many Russian missiles and suicide drones still get through. It is a method of warfare that, unfortunately, our own nation is very vulnerable to. Russia's declining, but still formidable, fleet of missiles is puny compared to the enormous number of missiles developed and deployed by China in the past 2 decades. No country has the breadth and quantity of short, medium, and long-range missiles that China possesses. With more than 2,000 such weapons, it is well beyond the size needed for territorial defense of mainland China. Instead, this missile arsenal is a tool of military coercion and aggression. Large parts of Australia are within range of conventional missiles launched from China. That means that in any contingency in which China wishes to prevent us offering support to Taiwan, or to prevent us using our bases, especially in northern Australia, Chinese missiles could be launched, or such threats made, from their home bases quickly and without warning. Australia has almost no defense against these weapons. For a generation, governments have preferred to invest in boutique, expensive, and exquisite weapon systems such as submarines and stealth fighters. These are entirely useless in preventing direct missile attacks on our nation or its deployed troops overseas. The only capability that might be able to assist in the near future is our 3 Hobart-class destroyers, and the Army's new National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, which is due for delivery in coming years. That's it. Consequently, Australia has a minimal deterrent against Chinese missile diplomacy. Our nation is entirely open to the coercive military and economic power of these weapons. Given President Xi's consistent messaging about Chinese aspirations for Taiwan and beyond, we can be sure they will use this leverage. It is something that the ongoing defense review must urgently address. There are economically viable remedies available. The Ukrainians have proven that ground-based air and missile defense systems can be very effective. Indeed, one of the open secrets of this war is that most Russian fighters and helicopters have been shot down by ground-based missiles, not Air Force jets. They have achieved this because they can move radars and launchers quickly and often. This makes them hard to detect and much more survivable than other more expensive responses. Good day to everyone.